Hello and welcome to a review of Dexter Resurrection, episode 9, entitled Touched by an Angel, or Angel, because I think it's obvious it's referring to Angel Batista. So let's jump straight in. Harrison is stoked to meet Leon Prater. He's excited. And obviously Dexter is furious. Dexter says, Leon, do you want to come outside and have a chat? And Prater is very curious about Red Schmidt's background. I want to chat to discuss that further. And then Harrison is obviously puzzled at why Leon Prater, the same as billionaire, is interested in Dexter. And Dexter is very paranoid. He brings Harrison to a quiet part of town and just basically gives him the lowdown of everything we've seen this season, of the club, Dexter killing Red Schmidt, stuff like that. And then they go on the subway. We do see someone with a phone taking pictures, and it is Angel Batista. Angel is following on the subway, but Dexter is Dexter. He's intelligent. He gets off the subway, and Angel is once again unsuccessful. And then Batista is looking at these pics of Prater and Dexter, shocked. He says the F word. He's just absolutely perplexed. And then we see that Harrison is in the hotel. His buddy tells him about the $45 an hour offer to work at Prater's. And Harrison's interested until he hears it's Prater, because he knows all about Prater's club and stuff like that. And then Stefan, the manager, comes in and says, Harrison, someone wants room service just from you. And obviously he goes and does it because that's the job, and it's Charlie. I'm just curious about the last name thing. So Harrison lies but also tells the truth. Was it a half-truth about how his dad abandoned him and he took his mother's last name Morgan, which is the lie part? But a lot of the time he's telling the truth about how, kind of telling the story of how he feels about his dad inside. And then she wants his phone number, kind of wants to keep connected with him. And Prater, Prater wants to keep connected with Harrison, that is. Harrison is pretty worried. He calls Dexter, and Harrison just outlines basically everything that happened. Dexter says to come live with him. So then we have a scene of Blessing and Dexter. Blessing is like, initially, what the hell do you want? And Dexter really does well to apologize, and Blessing forgives Dexter. That is nice, because I think Blessing is a good person at heart. And Dexter asks Blessing to pick Harrison up from work because he wants to be on the down low with all this stuff going on. And then Dexter goes to Charlie's house and snoops around, sees that she has Harrison's fingerprints. Harry Morgan is worried, but Dexter knows that there's no reason Harrison would have fingerprints on any database in the United States. But Harry's still annoyed. We see Charlie's mother is living with her. Dexter sees that too. Charlie's buying flowers for her mother and then gets in her car, but Dexter is there with the whole dark passenger stuff. But Charlie gives some good information that Prater is really a lunatic, that he gave her a script to follow basically with Harrison, and that he exploits the weaknesses. He exploited the weakness of Charlie, that she was a soldier, special ops to be accurate, and then she's probably involved with militias like Blackwater Security and stuff like this, and she came in contact with Prater, and Prater saw how skilled she was and used her mother's sickness against her, and then funded her recovery and meds and all this kind of stuff. So that's why Charlie is indebted to Leon. And Dexter is furious that Prater broke the promise to never go near Harrison. He's livid. He's proper, the most angry Dexter can be, where he's absolutely growling at everyone. Then we see Batista at the NYPD homicide offices. So we have more New York Ripper stuff. Olivia and Wallace are discussing the New York Ripper case, and they're kind of looking at hooks and all the possible agencies that could use these hooks. So they're giving us more information about this investigation of the New York Ripper case, which is interesting. And then Batista comes in, pictures of Dexter and stuff like that. Batista has a good monologue about what Dexter does, as we know if you've seen this franchise, how he manipulates everyone, lies to everyone, and makes people look crazy. And Batista says all that, but Olivier and Wallace, basically Batista has broken a law. I didn't know in the last episode, but impersonating a cop because he wasn't officially a cop of Miami Metro is a crime. So they have a right to arrest him if he continues. And then, so they're really skeptical. They do not believe Batista at all. And Batista steps out, he looks around the NYPD offices. And the thing is, I think David Zayas was a New York police officer, so this was probably enjoyable for him to be back in that environment. And then he sees Leon Prater on the poster and is like, this is the guy in the photos. And obviously, everything starts to work. Dexter comes home and Gigi and Harrison are kind of smooching on the couch. And Gigi is a very funny character. I like the way she kind of has banter with Dexter, and she's good one-liners, and they discuss careers. Obviously, she's working at the Collins Criminology College, and how she wants to do blood. She says splatter, and then Dexter, being Dexter, he says spatter. And then it's quite a good scene because she is very sharp-witted, and Dexter is very awkward, and she kind of sees that quickly and pokes fun at him. And then Dexter, she kind of says that maybe blood spatter is outdated, but Dexter is obviously like, no, he thinks it's amazing because that's his life. He's, as we know, if you watch the original franchise, he's just nerding out at all these scenes. He's just like a kid at Christmas, like he's just over the moon. And then Harrison goes to Gigi's house because they want more privacy and all this kind of stuff. So then we have Prater with Charlie at Prater's house. Charlie tells the tale of her encounter with Red Schmidt and shows the scar, and Prater, we really see in this episode, it hammers home to me how much of a lunatic Leon Prater is. He's like, wow, he's just seen the moon for the first time. He's absolutely flabbergasted in a good way. And Charlie is just in her head like, this group, Leon Prater. Dexter calls, presumably he's on speaker. He wants a one-on-one meeting with Leon. And then he obviously wants to kill Leon because Leon's been threatening Harrison. And it's all kind of under the guise of, oh, we're all buddies, we're going to meet up, but we all know what's going on. So Batista goes to Prater's house. Security guard obviously wants Batista to go away rapidly. Batista is determined because in Batista's head, he's just thinking, oh my god, poor Leon Prater is in danger with the Bay Harbor Butcher. And he just wants to save this innocent billionaire, you know? And then guards come, because Batista revokes the one guard, others come, it's kind of a brawl. The Charlie comes, kind of locks him down, secures him. And Batista reveals everything about the Butcher, and that he knows Dexter Morgan, not Ronald Schmidt, and worked in Miami, as we know, for all those years. And then there's kind of a cliffhanger. We're left a bit on the edge about what happened. We just cut to then Dexter arriving at Leon Prater's place. And they just kind of go in, and then Prater reveals that he knows who Dexter is. Charlie has a gun, and we're like, where's Batista and all this? And then we come in, and Angel Batista is strapped to a table with slides and the knife on another smaller table, and it's just kind of a show of bird's eye view. Like this show is fairly bonkers, like, but that's why we love this franchise. And then it is revealed to us that Leon Prater reveres the Butcher and isn't angry. He's actually happy because he's got like one of the biggest killers in the history of the world, possibly. And I find this similar to Leela. When James Stokes told Leela West that Dexter was the Butcher, she wasn't like, oh my god, poor you, let's call the cops, let's take down Dexter. She was like, okay, and then proceeded to kill James Stokes, as we know. And this is similar, and that Batista is like, okay, Dexter is the Butcher, let's stop this right now. And then Prater's like, yeah, and is like, oh my god, I have the Butcher, he's thrilled. So Leon Prater has now a big project he wants with Dexter, which is he will collect killers from all over the globe, bring them to New York, and then Dexter can kill them off one by one without their knowledge. Which that is just like Prater's just like he's won the lotto. He's so happy. And again, we see how crazy Prater is. And shout out to Peter Dinklage, because I haven't seen him much. I saw him in a Hunger Games movie, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I think. But he is a hell of an actor, and he is fantastic in this season. So he says to Dexter, the price of admission to this club is to kill Angel Batista right here, right now. And it looks like he's about to do it, but then he releases Batista, and Batista fights him. Batista is just so furious, because now he was at 99% certainty, now he's at 100% certainty that Dexter was the butcher. And they're just kind of brawling, and Batista has Dexter on the floor, and Leon Prater kills Angel Batista with the gun. Numerous gunshot wounds. And that's it. And the kind of escape that is Charlie and Prater they know that Dexter wants to kill them now. They try and kill him but fail. Just kind of Dexter throws an axe, he misses, and they lock Dexter in this kind of room. What would you call it? Secret room, the Prater cave, Prater's man cave, whatever you want to call it. Dexter is now an inhabitant there with Angel Batista's dead corpse. And so yeah, this has to be one of the most bonkers episodes of any show I've ever seen, in that one of the biggest characters in this entire franchise is dead in a pretty nuts fashion. So I'm glad that Dexter didn't kill Batista, because I think that would have just been sad. And I don't think he was ever going to, because like Batista is his friend deep down. I think he would. I think we saw the code was back a bit, because we thought the code was dying, that it was just purely don't get caught. But if that was the case, he would have just killed Batista, but he didn't. He showed he still had some of the honor of the code, which is interesting. That took me back in, because sometimes this season was bonkers, but that brings it back more into the realistic nature of Dexter's code that was given to him by Harry Morgan. And essentially, where we leave that episode is Dexter is here with Batista's corpse and all this stuff, and he is in big trouble. And on Batista, just in depth, I think he really fumbled this whole thing. But from the start of the season, we're trying to reveal Dexter as the butcher. He really should have probably enlisted Masuka and Quinn at the beginning to get support, because on his own, he was just looking like a crazy man yelling at the sky. And that was always going to be a difficult situation, because in this sort of criminal setting, you need concrete evidence to get these prosecutions and the rest. And I think he needed to wait longer to bide his time. And he just went in too quick, looked flustered, and kind of embarrassed himself, and became desperate, and that led him to where he is today. And also at the end, just before Batista died, in his dying moments, him and Dexter have a moment where Dexter reveals that he didn't kill James Stokes or Maria LaGuerta. But Batista doesn't care. He knows that ultimately he indirectly killed them because of Dexter, all the butcher shenanigans that happens with that. And his last words are, Dexter Morgan, F you. And that's a pretty defined way to go out for Batista. And as a character, it's pretty hard to not love him, because him and Bazooka definitely were, I just love their banter in the original 8th season show. And we also saw that this season Batista was more of a serious investigator, but he really did fumble the investigation. I think that has to be said. And on to episode 10, which is just going to be bananas. Like this season has taken over TV really. Like it's amazing. Us Dexter fans are extremely lucky. So Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think and what's going to happen moving forward. Thank you.